Matty Loves Podcast. Matty Loves Podcast.
Welcome everyone to Volume 2, Episode 2 of Matty Loves Podcast. I'm your host, Matt D. Simone, and I'm joined as always by Dr. Tom Lucas.
Holy cow, what is this, 26 episodes now?
I guess so, yeah,
like
technically, yeah.
Over a day.
I know.
If you were to binge listen to our show, it would now take you over a day with no sleep to get through it all.
Absolutely. Well, last episode we talked about coming back from Christmas and everything that we did while we were away from sunny Orlando, Florida. But now that we're back here and moving forward with Volume 2, we are going to get into Star Wars The Force Awakens, and we are going to rehash this film. As you know, leading up to when the film was released, we did several commentary tracks from past Star Wars films, as well as a podcast predicting or speculating what we think might happen. And I gotta tell you, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I nailed a few of these things.
Yeah.
And I wasn't somebody that was going on the internet looking for spoilers at all. You know, I avoided everything, but I mean, you know, Han Solo dying. Oh, yeah, by the way, folks.
Oh, there it is.
And by the way, folks, this is definitely going to be riddled with spoilers. If you listen to this podcast and you haven't watched The Force Awakens yet, I hope that you get the time like later today to do it, because what are you doing? You got to give them your money.
Right. Yeah. So Han Solo dies in the
Which
film.
is pretty much like the big thing that happens.
It is absolutely the big thing that happens. One of them.
Sure.
But I think anyone who's a Star Wars fan knows that Harrison Ford has always had kind of a thing about Han Solo.
Sure.
And there was a time where he was like totally kind of almost not down with Han at all, and had wanted Han to die in Empire.
Yeah, once he got a lot of recognition and was being pulled a bunch of different ways, by the time Jedi came around, you know, Harrison Ford wanted the character to die.
Right. It fits with what he's wanted as a trajectory. And also, too, is Harrison Ford is an old man, and he's either going to die on screen or die of natural causes in the real life.
Right.
And you had to see it coming. Plus, the Star Wars films that are going to be following are introducing us to a younger cast, new characters. It is, as we talked about in the speculation episode, it is a passing of the torch. It is about developing the next generation of iconic Star Wars characters. So Han carries some heavy weight, but we're gonna have our Luke.
Yes.
You know, and as much as I have loved Han, you know, something I said to you earlier today is I am always dying for more Luke story. Give it to me.
Well, that being said,
yeah.
when we were sitting and we were watching the movie for the first time, and the scroll started, and the first sentence is Luke Skywalker has vanished. At that point in time, when I was watching it, I knew we weren't going to see Luke until the very end of the movie.
Right. Yeah.
Like the very end, like the way they did it.
Which is exactly when we see him.
Right, exactly. And oh my God, you know, just thinking about her, the music playing with her walking up the steps, and when she gets to Luke, I mean, it's
haunted look in his eyes.
It is top 5 my Star Wars moments ever, I think.
Really?
Yeah, it's probably
I gotta tell you, man,
number 5.
Chills.
Yeah.
Chills. Goosebumps. The rush. The feeling of it. And before we completely dedicate this episode to A Force Awakens, which is what The Force Awakens, which is what we are doing, folks.
Right.
This episode is our recap on the film and what our thoughts are. Something that I do want to mention very quickly is that Monday morning, Monday being was January 11th, waking up to the news that David Bowie died.
Oh, God.
Quite honestly, it wrecked me. I've been a fan of his work my whole life. David Bowie was an artist with a capital A. He wasn't just a musician. He was sophisticated, elegant. He left an incredible legacy of performance and philosophy on art. My eyes got wet, bro. Like, I sat down and I was had my coffee and my cereal, and the news came on, and the first thing I'm seeing are all these sort of epitaph kind of things in the little news ticker, and I'm like, what happened?
Right.
And then they said David Bowie died, and I felt like I was gonna cry. I didn't cry, but I got that pre-cry rush that you get.
Right. Yeah.
And it really it messed me up, and I just want to, just say, publicly that although I never knew the man, I've gotten so much out of his art over the years, and it's a tremendous loss. And the thing that is even worse in my gut about it is that, okay, so we lost Lemmy from Motorhead recently, and Scott Weiland, which was, a premature death for certain. We're going to start losing everybody from the 60s and 70s, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's
they're-
my dad always told me when celebrities, athletes died, when I was a kid, he'd always say it's a mark in time. This is a mark in time.
It is.
And that's what you need to look at it as far as being death as a mark in time, and just think about in the time they spent, everything that they did. I mean,
Right.
I don't think that there's ever been an artist. I mean, the Beatles made people question their antics, but they were antics. Led Zeppelin. I believe wholeheartedly that they were just screwing with, the world,
Right.
and the stories that they would tell and everything. But with David Bowie, never has there been an artist, like you said, that that crosses over from music to film to fashion, that like always kept you asking questions, like guessing,
Yeah.
And he would do the weirdest shit, and I know, like, when I was a
Weird
kid,
for any era,
right,
too.
for any era. I mean, my parents, when I was younger, they would be like, man, David Bowie is so weird, and it was like they did that benefit concert in 1983 or 84 in California, where I want to say it was like put on like in Silicon Valley, like Apple put it on or something. Oh, damn it, and I can't remember what it was called. I don't think it was a Live Aid. I think it was like something different. But anyway, he performed, but the only way he would perform is if like there was no flash photography, no one like, could take a picture of him, that kind of shit,
Okay.
And I just found I found that so like interesting. Like, how can an artist do that and expect people to follow it? And you watch the crowd, man, you ain't seeing any flashes.
Yeah.
I mean, he had that mystique.
Were you there live, or was this televised?
Well, this was 1983, 84.
Oh, yeah,
No,
okay,
I've watched
yeah.
it on YouTube.
Okay.
Which I'm sure
Did you ever get a chance to see him perform?
like live?
Yeah.
I mean, not just on TV.
Okay.
No, I never. Did you see him live?
I did.
What?
I went. He did a best of tour, Sound and Vision, which I'm gonna say was like in '92 or '93.
Was it like a little acoustic deal?
No. It was a full blown. He had a guy by the name of Adrian Ballou was his lead guitar player. He's a very talented guy. He has quite a long pedigree. It was, what he had stated is that it was going to be the last time that he was going to tour and play his hits, so to speak. And it was an incredible stage production. They had what's called a kabuki, which is a parachute silk that hangs from the top of the light grid all the way down to the bottom.
And they projected
on it. And they projected all his personas.
Oh, wow.
From Ziggy, and everything in between. And he played for
the
probably...
Duke of Ear is my favorite.
Yeah.
The Duke of Ear is my favorite, moniker that he had.
And it was probably about a 3-hour concert, I want to say.
Oh, my God.
And there's a double album that pretty much has most of the stuff that he played on. That's the only time that I got to see him live. It was definitely in my top 10 concerts of all times that I've seen, and I'm very grateful that I had the chance to see it. So, the Planet lost an incredible artist that, historically speaking, I think that you will see him remembered in museums. There already have been Bowie exhibitions, but they'll be different now that he's passed.
Yeah, and you kids out there that like yesterday decided to become David Bowie fans, listen to more David Bowie.
Yeah.
It's sad that that's what happens sometimes when your legends pass, and your teenage kids are just now discovering them. But at the same time, man, think about what Bowie did before he died. He planned this whole thing.
He did,
and that's an artist. Always, forever an artist.
I Am Lazarus, I believe is
the Lazarus. That video is basically about, hey guys, I'm about ready to die.
Yeah.
This is what's going on with
me. In the end, he created art.
A beautiful video too. That music video is tremendous.
I haven't been able to get myself to watch yet because I'm going to.
Right.
I'm going to, but it's been...
my first David Bowie for me as a kid was Labyrinth, obviously.
Oh, yeah. The Goblin Kid.
Yes. So that was very androgynous, back then.
I think he played on Saturday Night Live.
Did he do?
In the late 70s.
Played like as the musical guest.
Yeah.
He didn't host it.
Correct.
Right.
And I remember seeing him and my father, explaining why he was being weird and why he was doing what he was doing. My father was a huge Iggy Pop fan.
Nice.
And I think that if he were alive today, the thing that he would note is that how is it that Iggy Pop outlived David Bowie?
We were talking about Keith Richards earlier.
Yeah. There's some people that are genetically predisposed to handle the abuse, I suppose. Yeah. So, and of course, David Bowie had plenty of science fiction elements to his art.
Yeah.
And we'll move on to The Force Awakens now, folks. But I needed to kind of get that off my chest because I'm not typically like when Kurt Cobain died. It definitely bothered me.
Really?
I didn't light a candle or walk down the street or anything like that, but I had had enjoyed his music, and
my whole thing when I was a kid and that happened, I just didn't understand.
Right,
you're in the top of the world, man.
Yeah, depression is a thing, people.
Yeah,
depression is a thing, and if you know someone who suffers from it, be there for them
for sure
if you can. But I think this David Bowie passing thing is gonna kind of hang with me for a little bit, and I think I was even more of a fan than I even realized, and so it's gonna take a little time. I'm gonna get to Lazarus, so let's tune up the happy wheel here and get past the in memoriam.
Yes,
and we are here to talk The Force Awakens.
Yes,
Matt, you've seen it 4 times. I've seen it a paltry twice. With many more viewings to come, and in a way, I'm seeing it for the 3rd time.
Right, sure. As we talk about it.
As we experience, as we talk about it.
For sure.
So, that's happening as well. So, let's dig in, man. Where do you want to start with The Force Awakens?
Okay, well, I guess we should probably start off with our 3 main characters now that we are going to be rolling with.
So we're talking Ray, Finn, Poe.
Ray, Finn, Poe. That we're rolling with throughout the remainder of this series of films. Now, I guess the only character really that has a solid maybe origin or definition would be Finn.
Yes.
Because Finn is
stolen in youth.
Traitor.
Yeah. Oh God, what a scene.
Yeah.
Stolen in his youth, indoctrinated into the First Order, made a stormtrooper.
Yep.
But obviously his training was not complete because he has a conscience.
Yes.
And is unwilling to commit slaughter in the name of following orders.
So my question then, following that, is: do you think that this has any dark light influence, or do you think this is just a character who saw the error of his ways and decided to join the Resistance.
I don't think he's going to become a Jedi.
I don't either.
No, I don't think that's his role. I think his role is to give us our new Lando in time. You know, he is a guy who is very nervous about life. He's a guy who's very emotional.
Yes.
He's very young, and but he has principles and he has convictions, and I think that we are going to see a great character arc out of Finn. But do you think that at the end he's going to become? Because we got Poe.
Right.
Poe is our the top pilot of the Resistance.
Yes.
It's the Resistance.
Definitely got that Han swagger to him. I feel like
does,
he's probably going to be our Han
dialogue,
Solo.
right?
I think he's going to be our new Han. And I think that's definitely what they had in mind for Poe in this film.
He's got swagger, man. So what do you think?
But going back to Finn, let's go back to Finn real quick.
What do you think the role that Finn is filling is?
So let's go back and think about what Finn does in this movie, okay? So Finn, the main thing that Finn does is he sees the error in what they're doing on Jakku. And apparently that was like his very first mission, I think.
It was.
Yeah, I think
it was.
that was
As he relates later in the film, that was his first time boots on the ground.
Yes. So you know, and he joins the Resistance, and the whole entire movie, he just keeps saying, you know, I want to go.
He wants to run.
I want to go.
He wants to escape.
I want to go. And you can argue that, you know, there's different points where you could just be like, all right, Finn, then just fucking go.
I know,
you
right?
know?
Like,
then
enough.
go, dude.
Enough.
Yeah, exactly. So, but they set it up nice, because right when he finally does say, screw it, I'm going, that's when, you know, the New Order shows up and on Maz's temple and all that stuff. Yeah. I don't know that planet yet by heart.
No.
But anyway, so
it's hard to commit all this.
But the main thing for me that Finn does in this film is what he does with Captain Phasma. Now, before I talk about this, there are a few characters in this film that I thought would have larger roles, and
they kind of got Boba Fetted on us.
Yeah, they did get Boba Fett. Phasma suffered from the Boba Fett in this, but the next film is going to be key for Phasma getting her revenge on Finn.
There's only so much you can do in 2 hours.
Finn's going to lose his arm. He's going to lose a leg. He's going to lose something. That's just what happens.
Phasma's going to wreck him.
Phasma's going to get him, yeah. So, and I think that's like where he's going for the second film. As far as like, you know, people speculating that, you know, what if Rey and Finn are an item? I don't believe that.
No.
I don't think
I think it's going to be a brotherly love, friendship kind of thing.
Absolutely. I think that Poe is going to end up with Rey.
I see that.
Yeah, I think, but they haven't had their moment in the sun, and now
that's going to be our Han Leia kind of but Anakin Padme.
So if we're shifting over to Poe, Poe is another character that isn't in this film, you know, a lot. And you thought
before we shift over to Poe, no. So I mean, what is Finn ultimately to the story? Because like looking back to our original trinity of Luke, Han, Leia, right? He's not Luke because I don't see him on a trajectory as a Force user.
Right.
He's not Han because he doesn't have swagger. He's a more desperate, raw kind of guy. And he doesn't come from royalty or have power or influence, so he's certainly not Leia. So... and he's not cool enough to be Lando.
So what you're saying is more or less he's probably dead by episode 9.
Well, you know, I would hate for that to happen.
But if he and Rey become good friends and he ends up getting killed by Kylo Ren, that's going to piss Rey off. And she's going to get really dark really quick.
Yeah.
No pun intended. So,
right.
You know, Finn, for me, it's great you pose that question because that is the question. It's like, what is the point of Finn to these next 3 films, you know?
Right.
What is he going to provide, you know, other than, you know, kind of...
Does he join the Resistance and use his insider knowledge to help them really be victorious?
But his position in the story, is he going to be comic relief? Is he going to, you know, what are we going to believe in the character, more or less?
You know,
now, I do in this film. I believe in Finn, totally, you know?
Traitor!
when he gets that lightsaber, Finn is not whipping that thing around like he knows what he's doing.
No.
He looks like
he's
he is
handling
terrified.
it like a broomstick,
right,
kind of.
exactly.
You know?
Both when we see him fight the stormtrooper and then later when he fights Kylo Ren, it's the same kind of fight. And I don't understand why people are bitching about a non-force sensitive wielding a lightsaber, because he's just basically holding out in front of him, and swinging
He's
it like a
not doing
bat.
any samurai moves
hell
or
no.
anything slick like
Hell
that.
no.
It's basically, this is the only weapon I've got.
Yeah.
And certainly I can't imagine a device more dangerous in existence than a lightsaber would be.
Yeah.
So it's a sign of true desperation that, and that's something too, especially as I watch the Clone Wars, which is something I've been doing on the side, is I've seen more than a few people that are not trained handle lightsabers in desperate situations. And, I think it's no different than a gun in the real world. Sometimes people who don't know how to shoot a gun still have to pick one up.
Yeah.
And it happens. I thought the actor who portrayed Finn did a really good job of showing a guy who did not know what he was doing,
Yes.
but we cannot forget that he has military training.
Yes. Yes.
He has been trained to be a stormtrooper in the First Order.
Right.
He has had physical military training, which includes melee.
Yes.
Includes hand-to-hand. So it's not like he's a bus driver that picked up a lightsaber. He is a soldier.
I think that the gear that the poor stormtroopers have to wear underneath their gear sucks.
What is it, like a bodysuit?
It looks like a long sleeve black t-shirt and black jeans. I'm not kidding you.
In the Clone Wars, when they show some of the clones like chilling in the barracks, it basically is like a Union suit.
Yeah.
It's just a one piece like undergarment.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's two pieces so you can go to the bathroom. And that's really it. And aside from looking cool, I have often wondered about the true functionality of Stormtrooper armor because, quite honestly, it doesn't protect you from a blaster at all.
And they got like that pack in the back. It's like, what the hell does that do? You never see them
thermos of
using.
soup,
Yeah,
or,
right. Exactly. Is it like keep your soup cool? Is it like an AC unit there that keeps you cool constantly or whatever? Who knows?
I do kind of like that they've gotten rid of the fake pecs in the breastplate.
Sure.
It seemed kind of archaic. And also something that's really neat to me, too, is that in the very early concept art for A New Hope, George Lucas originally had the stormtroopers all with shields and carrying lightsabers in the very early days, right? And, of course, once he understood why a lightsaber should be a significant weapon that is very particular in terms of who uses it, he went away. But instead, what we see here, especially when they land on Jakku, and the traitor dude who takes Finn on, he's carrying a shield, and he has a weapon that can block a lightsaber.
Genius.
So,
Magna Guards.
And I've seen weaponry like this a lot in the Clone Wars too, and so some really nice expansion on the world building. As powerful as a lightsaber is, there's some things that it can't deal with.
That's right.
And I think that's smart.
Yes.
I think that's a good thing. So that's Finn. You want to move on to Poe?
Let's move on to Poe. Poe is, the Resistance Ace X-Wing pilot.
He's so good.
He's really quick.
He's such a great pilot.
He's really quick. Oscar Isaacs is a hell of an actor, by the way, too. I think that out of all
cast.
Out of all the characters in this film, I think Poe Dameron was cast the best. I just there's just things with Poe. There's a few things with Poe that bother me, like how he gets off of Jakku. You don't ever find out how he gets off of Jakku.
It is not explained.
Yeah,
and the fact that Finn couldn't find him after the crash does seem a little. It's a desert.
It's a desert.
There's nothing to really be hiding behind.
Right.
How did he not, in a 360 view, see someone stumbling off into the horizon?
Right, and when they reconvene at the Resistance base, Poe is like, Poe says to him, Finn asks Poe, how'd you get off of Jakku? And he was like, oh, well, it was it was night. I woke up, it was night, no one was there, and then, that's all you get. And I'm like, wait a minute. So it was night when you came to. Finn wakes up, it looks like, in the afternoon.
Right.
These are little things, folks.
And Finn was really looking.
Yeah,
he was really looking for him.
There are a few things in this new Star Wars movie that go unexplained.
They're a little thin.
Yeah, a little thin, just for the fact that everybody's been waiting for a new Star Wars movie for so long, they don't think many people are going to be asking a whole lot of questions.
Right.
And you're not going to get these questions until you've probably seen the movie multiple times.
It's still...
But the Poe thing...
It's probably, for me, the thinnest of all the plot.
I agree with you.
How did Poe go unnoticed?
Yeah, exactly. That was the one thing that stuck with me when I was watching the first time was, wait a minute, where the hell is Poe? How the hell? And then he just shows up when the X-Wing storm Maz's temple, and I'm like,
Don't you really want to fly a TIE fighter after seeing that sequence where they escape?
When they escape? I mean, I would rather fly an X-Wing.
Yeah.
But that scene is great, too, because...
Who knew a TIE fighter was a two-seater?
I love it when they... I know. I love it when they take... Well, I don't know if they used to be or not.
I don't think so either. I think it's an innovation.
I love it when they take Poe off the ship and he enters he's on the Finalizer Star Destroyer and he's looking around and just the look on his face is like, holy shit, what have I done? So yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, do we say that we have a main 3 or a main 4 that we're focusing on?
Who do you want to throw in as 4?
Kylo Ren.
Yeah. I guess it is. We've got 3 protagonists, and we have
Darth Vader.
We have our Darth Vader.
Yeah.
We have Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren taking his name from the Knights of Ren, who are apparently a Dark Order created or forged or led by Snoke.
Yes, Snoke gave him the name Kylo Ren.
Right. So Snoke, who we don't know where Snoke comes from, right?
Yes,
the film does not establish his origin.
He's not Darth Plagueis like a bunch of people were assuming or speculating about. Darth Plagueis.
Who's Darth
There's
Plagueis?
only one that I knew that could bring some... that's the Palpatine talks about. There was the old Sith Lord Darth Plagueis who could bring people back to life via metachlorians.
Right. So... we don't know anything about Snoke.
Yeah,
right.
So, I think he looks a lot like Maz Kanata. That's just me, though. I think
Maz Kanata?
Maz, yeah.
Maz is... Now, who's that?
With the goggles in the temple.
Oh.
Yeah, if you look at them close...
you think they're related?
Maybe. We'll see.
Right.
We'll see.
So we got to figure out where Snoke comes from because the First Order is the remnant of the Empire that basically fled to the far reaches of the known galaxy and has decided to... It's Nazis in Brazil, Basically. It's the Nazis in Brazil.
Yeah.
And I'm quite impressed by their resources, though. They have awfully nice weapons. They have a nice bankroll, apparently.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Right?
These are your classic Star Wars. I just go with it.
Right, yeah, exactly.
We're not going to find that out, folks.
We don't know who the backers are.
Right, yeah.
Apparently, they fled with all that Nazi gold.
Right.
All those Nazi credits, right? So, we're not sure where Snoke comes from, but so we have the First Order. We have, apparently, the Senate and the Republic still.
I know.
Right?
That's key.
And help me with this.
Okay.
Why is it called the Resistance if they won? If the rebellion was successful and the Republic restored and the Empire sent to the far reaches of the galaxy, why are they calling it the Resistance?
The Resistance represents the Republic. The Resistance is resisting the New Order's new influence on the galaxy, and they're keeping them from becoming the new Empire.
Okay.
That's what I figured.
But the Republic is kind of is bankrolling them.
We haven't gotten to them yet.
It's not the official army of the Republic.
I think we're going to get to the Republic, but I don't think they wanted to hit us off with the politics quite yet because so many people hated that in Episode 1.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that they're going to slowly ease us into the politics.
Right. I'm just not... I am totally not... I'm not quite digging calling it the Resistance because we won.
Right, yeah.
We won. But I'm not right. I don't get to, so anyway.
So we've talked about Finn
and Poe.
We talked a little bit about Poe, who, like I said, I think will have a major role in the second film.
And by the way, you had loaned to me Star Wars Shattered Empire,
Yes.
which was a 4-parter comic, which gives us the Poe's parents.
Yes.
And post Endor.
Yes, right. Poe was conceived right after the Battle of Endor.
Right. So
his mom and dad hadn't seen each other for a while.
All the Ewoks were partying with C-3PO and Chewbacca and all that. They were in the back making Poe.
Right. His mom and dad. His dad was a pilot for the Rebels. His mom was a ground trooper. They hadn't seen each other in forever. They reconvene in Endor, have the sex. Mm-hmm. She gets pregnant with Poe, and then I think the dad doesn't. I don't want to give anything away.
No, he didn't die.
Oh, okay.
No,
right.
He. They.
Well, maybe we'll see that.
They mustered out.
Yeah.
They mustered out, and they got themselves a nice little farm on some whatever planet or whatever, and basically that was.
It's a good little story.
Yeah, it's a nice little story. It was nice. That's our little comic book component we're tying.
That's
in there.
I think the Force Tree was the MacGuffin.
Oh yeah.
In that whole thing, because. I really wanted to, in The Force Awakens, I wanted to see some of that Shattered Empire stuff in there with the Force Tree, and maybe that means something, but we didn't really get to see any of that.
Not at this time, for sure. And so, before we switch, maybe, do you want to talk about Kylo or Rey?
Well, let's save Rey for last. Let's go to Kylo Ren. All right, so Kylo Ren, we find out right away, thank goodness, they didn't waste any time. We know that he is Han and Leia's son. Right from the jump.
As far as we know, their only child, right?
As far as we know, yes.
Yeah.
And they
unless they decide to add
that, Max von Sydow provides that, and his role in the film was pretty cool,
Yeah.
You gotta have that, like, thespian in a Star Wars movie.
You do.
You've gotta have at least one.
You gotta have your Sir Alec.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Speaking of with Kylo Ren, I consider Adam Driver to be a thespian.
Adam Driver is a solid actor, and he brought pathos to Kylo. The emotional instability of the character. He unmasks at just the right time.
Yes.
And when the mask comes off, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. Because he sells the motivations that Kylo has. Yeah. And basically what the film establishes is that, Leia is, of course, child of Anakin, one of the most powerful Force users ever. And although she is not a Force user herself, that potential comes through in her son, Kylo. For whatever reason, she sent Kylo away to train with Luke. And the Knights of Ren, according to Wikipedia, slaughtered his younglings. Knights of Ren came in and slaughtered his younglings. So something happens there, and that draws Adam into the darkness.
This plays into Rey here, because what I think happened...
Okay, lay it out.
Okay, so what I think happened, going along, I haven't read that, but by you saying that, if the Knights of Ren slaughtered all the younglings...
That Luke had gathered.
Then something must have happened to Luke and all that to take him out of the equation, and Ben, Kylo Ren, escapes with Luke's daughter. And Kylo Ren takes her to Jakku and leaves her on Jakku and splits.
Because
I think
Rey is Luke's daughter.
She's got to be.
Right.
And if people are pissed off about that, oh my gosh, come on. Like, it makes sense,
Luke's a very passionate guy, compassionate guy. Of course he's going to, he's going to have a child.
But who was it with?
Right.
That's the key.
I got no idea, dude.
I know. Even if she is his daughter, like, what, are we going to meet her mom? Mm-hmm. We would have to, almost.
Who's mom?
I don't think I would like it if he's like, yeah, well, your mom's dead. That
Leia's got to know who mom is.
Right, yes.
She's got to.
So anyway, and we're going to get to that, too, with Leia and Rey near the end of the movie. But, I think, that Kylo Ren, I don't see them not doing a Vader turn, and by the end of the film, he's a good guy. But I think that he's going to be a good guy.
There's that scene where he's like, the light is drawing
being torn
me.
apart. Yeah.
He's being drawn to the light.
Right.
They never say
it's
that.
always drawn to the dark.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, they're like, I'm light. No, I'm getting darker. He's like, I am fighting positivity.
Right.
I'm fighting. The light is calling to me.
Right. So
you can see it in his eyes. He has a very good chance of going.
I would love a
split
to where, we have Rey on the light, Kylo Ren moving towards the light. And like I was saying, like if Finn were to die or something, then Rey would start falling to the dark. And by the end of the series, we'd have Kylo Ren on the light and Rey on the dark side.
It's certainly possible.
Yeah.
The Force is a powerful thing. And Rey, shows herself in the film to be someone who is very grounded, focused, practical, but yet emotional and driven.
Yes.
And she is the one who delivers Luke Skywalker his old lightsaber.
And she's not a do-it-all either, man. I'm sick of like the people bitching about Rey saying she can do everything. It's just you can't explain how she can just do this and do that. But if you slowly watch the film, they give you all these context clues to how Rey is so awesome. Mm-hmm. They show you why she can fly. They show you all these different things, Now, as far as picking up and wielding a lightsaber, she's holding her own with Kylo Ren, but Kylo Ren also got blasted in the gut by Chewbacca's cannon.
I loved how he was pounding his side the whole time.
Staying alive, man.
Right?
Keeping that blood moving, man.
Right.
It's crazy. Like, that was, and that's the sort of thing to where, Adam Driver might have just added that.
I think he did. I bet that was an improv thing. Yeah. And they went, "Oh, that's good stuff, kid."
Yeah. And what a scene when Rey gets the lightsaber.
Right?
That just, it's just so awesome. And how in the previews we constantly see, John Boyega lighting up the lightsaber, and looking forward, and then they do the exact same thing with Rey, as in no. This is who should be wielding the lightsaber.
Yeah, right.
That part's awesome.
And you know what, too, is Luke, if you look at A New Hope, Luke had certain talents as a young guy growing up on Tatooine. He was basically a marksman. He had lots of practice shooting rats or whatever the thing was. He was very handy with droids.
Yes.
He had technological know-how. And by the end of the film, he destroys the Death Star using the Force as guided by Ben.
Right.
And here in The Force Awakens, which it really does with Rey, she fudges her way through the Jedi voice trick, and she
out-bonds Bond.
Yeah, and she, swings the lightsaber around for a scene.
Yeah.
She's not the one who destroys the Starkiller base, though.
And she's climbing around Starkiller base, and people are like, how could she just be climbing around? Well, in the beginning of the movie, you see her, rock climbing a damn Star Destroyer.
I know.
Come on.
She's a scavenger. She's resourceful.
Right.
And I believe that all of her actions and abilities are justified through the story. She's been existing on Jakku by herself for a wall of days.
Right.
I don't know how many days those scratches on the wall were supposed to represent.
Yeah,
but
right.
She has been self-sustaining for several years.
Yeah, now is she a bit naive into thinking someone's going to come, her family's coming back? Sure.
Yeah, she got sold a bill of goods.
Yeah, she's a bit naive, but one thing that not a lot of people have talked about, which is kind of cool because, for a female lead, one of the first things most of the time people are like, oh, she's so hot. But, Daisy Ridley is beautiful. And just wait until they let her hair down. That scene where we finally get to see her, full-on woman.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I can't wait. She's going to have her Armani moment,
Sure.
And I can't wait to see that. So, that pretty much covers our Rey, we talked about how, I said she's not, everything makes sense with what she's doing. But the one scene with Rey in the film that made no sense at all was when they arrive back to the Resistance base after blowing up the Starkiller base, Han's dead. Rey's first arrival at the base. She's there for the first time. Mm-hmm. Chewbacca and Leia's waiting to see, everyone come off. Chewbacca walks right past Leia.
That's right.
He walks right past. Now, when he first arrives to a Resistance base with Han, he hugs Leia. He walks right past her. I mean, they don't even take the time to have them share a look. Whereas Chewie's lost his best friend, Leia's lost the love of her life. Yeah. Don't you think they would hug then?
Yes.
Or whatever. And instead, she goes and hugs Rey, who, to our knowledge, she's never met before in her damn life.
So that she's got to know who Rey is.
Maybe. I would hope.
Right.
I would hope. Yeah. Because that to me is the
So was this something that bothered you?
Yeah, this is one of those things that bother me. There are a few cuts in the movie that don't make any sense at all, from a filmmaking perspective.
Oh, where?
There's one cut that they have right away in the Resistance base when Leia's talking to Han, and they're talking to each other, and it's the scene cuts the camera shifts just slightly.
Uh-huh.
And I'm and I'm thinking, well, they shot this first part of the scene, on this day, and then the next part the next day, or something like that. The cut is just really weird.
Next time I see it.
But that's something that I noticed the third time I watched the film.
That's the kind of thing you really only get to notice once you get about 3-4 viewings in.
I think that the whole interaction after Han dies with Rey and Leia really bothers me. Not explaining what happened to Poe really bothers me. Poe and Finn's reaction to seeing each other back on the Resistance base, they're a little too happy to see each other for knowing each other a total of maybe an hour.
How much can you bond?
Right, exactly.
They escaped
together,
sure, from the Star Destroyer,
right,
and all that, but
still,
yeah,
that was hey, that's my jacket. Here, no, keep it. It suits you. Oh my God.
Yeah,
come on.
But for those that were maybe a little critical about Rey's abilities or Finn or anything like that, I just kind of want to remind people that this is epic action adventure. This is fantasy and fable and fairy tale.
Yes.
And our heroes are to be heroes.
Yes.
They are to be heroic.
Yes.
They are to be able to do things that the average person can't do. This is why we enjoy these stories.
Yes.
Poe has to be the best pilot in the Resistance.
Of course.
Because that's the guy we want to follow.
Right, exactly.
We don't want to just hear about him. And we can let Finn be the guy who struggles with his place in the universe and things like that, I have always been a huge Chewbacca fan. I love the hell out of my Chewbacca.
You're in a band called Chewbacca.
Yes, I was in a band briefly called Chewbacca. That's absolutely true. And we mentioned that in a previous show. I loved his quote-unquote dialogue.
Of course. You must be some sort of hero. Oh, well, yeah, Yeah, you're right.
Sort of thing. I loved Chewie, and also, too, I loved the attention that the bowcaster got for its power as a weapon.
It was one of those things that I swear J.J. Abrams was like, nah, man, we're showing this thing.
We gotta show how much of an ass kicker this fucking weapon is. And I love that in all the years they've known each other, Han's never bothered to pick it up.
And in this film, he finally keeps using it right before he bites it.
Because he's like, holy shit, this thing is great.
I like this.
The kick on that weapon, even though an energy weapon, what kind of kick would it have? It makes sense that a Wookiee would carry it.
Yes.
Yep.
There
is a bounty hunter in the Clone Wars that I really love.
Cad Bane.
Well, there's Cad Bane, who is pretty tremendous.
Talking about the female?
Guy, no, I think his name is Albo.
Okay.
He has a sort of Asian-looking hat, that helmet sort of thing that he actually throws at people, like
what's his name?
Captain America's shield.
Or in Mortal Kombat 2, what was that dude's name that threw his hat? Oh God.
Oh jeez, I don't know, but it's like
Kung Lao.
It's very Asian sort of look. He's a very acrobatic guy. He has a big evil looking wolf kind of companion, and he speaks some kind of alien language, and he also is one of those aliens that has a filter sort of built in on his face.
Okay.
You know, and I am really enjoying the other thing too, because we were talking Clone Wars earlier, and I'm not going to talk Clone Wars much. Ventress, after she leaves the Night Sisters because of their decimation, becomes a bounty hunter mercenary at will, and she takes a job with the young Boba Fett.
Awesome.
He's like 16.
And he's a little bastard, probably.
Oh, my God, but he's good.
Yeah.
He is good. And
Cool.
who is hanging out with him? Bosk. They use Bosk's ship.
Nice.
To fly around. And also who shows up is, I think his name is Gundar or Dungar or whatever. He is a bounty hunter that we saw a little bit of in Empire. He has sort of a veil scarf kind of situation. Dengar. And a really long rifle that he uses. So, but anyway,
Best scene in the movie.
Loved the Chewbacca action.
Yes.
Oh,
Best scene. What's the best scene in the movie?
the best scene in the movie? Are you talking about this?
I mean,
when
The
Han
walkway.
Solo.
Oh, the walkway. Have you seen the art of the Force Awakens? Have you flipped through that book yet with the
No.
concept art?
No.
Oh my gosh, dude! You can find it at Barnes and Noble. It'll take you from the very beginning of the Force Awakens, like the initial pitch art and everything, all the way to the end. Oh my gosh, the painting of the scene between Han and Kylo Ren on the bridge is, I mean, dead on the matte painting that they made.
Well, so
the
here
concept.
you got Han and you got Kylo Ben.
Khan with the
Interesting
red on
that
his
he was
face.
named Ben.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
of course.
Which is pretty interesting. I saw a really great. Somebody did basically a comic strip, and it was about Ben, and it shows Ben as a child being introduced to Chewbacca by Han Solo. And he's playing with Chewbacca, and you see him kind of growing up panel by panel, and him and Chewbacca grow very close. And then they get to the bridge scene, and you see the point of view from Chewbacca. And there's Kylo and Han Solo standing in the distance, and you can see that Chewbacca's kind of looking through like a scope. Like, I don't think the bowcaster has a scope,
Right.
but he's looking through a scope. And he sees them talking, and then he sees Han Solo get killed, and you see the scope go off target.
Oh, right.
Because this is a boy that he watched grow up,
Right.
and he's got really mixed feelings. He does take a shot at him
Sure.
immediately after. Chewbacca's like, what, 300 years old? 250 years old? He's an old dude. And he sees the child of his best friend murder his best friend. The comic strip was so well done, it made me emotional for a moment reading it, So yes, this is a powerful scene.
And then here's the thing about the scene. You have Han Solo's face covered in red. You got Kylo Ren half light, half dark. Then when the sun goes out and they're done taking all that energy, and his face goes full on red. I mean, it's just, I love color symbolism in film and in literature. And this right here is just like, this is Great Gatsby all the way. This is...
Totally.
And it's like, in the theater, I knew exactly what was about to happen. Too.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. He says, "Can you help me with something?" And you're like, "Oh God."
Yep.
And
it's just all red.
Here it goes.
Yep.
Here it goes. And, the other thing is, too, is that we are going to get plenty of swashbuckling in the upcoming films.
For sure.
And, Han is a character that I always loved, and I remember getting his action figure as a kid, and I've told you many times Millennium Falcon was my favorite toy, and it was so fantastic to see the Falcon back in action, in this film. It takes some spills,
Yes.
and all that, but really quite tremendous. And the scene where they get tractor beamed into a mysterious vehicle freighter, and Finn is convinced that it's the First Order.
Yes.
And instead, it turns out that it's Han and Chewie, and they happen to be in the neighborhood. They've been looking for the Millennium Falcon forever because it was stolen from him and then stolen for like 3 or 4 other guys. And there's no LoJack in the Star Wars universe, so apparently it is a hard vehicle to find. But the whole sequence on the freighter, when the two gangs show up, both wanting to collect from Han, and Han is back to his old, trying to talk his way through it. And then what happens? The dangerous cargo,
Rathtars.
These big Rathtars. These big balls with teeth and tentacles get released, and they eat up all the gang. I gotta tell you, that's just pure entertainment.
Now, that
scene was just pure entertainment.
Well, that's straight up Han running from the bad guys like he does in every Star Wars movie. I don't know if you noticed that when he's just like got the head ducked and he's running up the,
Han runs whenever possible.
Yes.
To live another day. That's always been his style. But he's a crack shot, man.
Oh yeah.
When they is it Jack?
No.
Where is it? Oh, the temple. When they're at the temple and the First Order comes in, man, he's taking some brothers down.
Oh
man.
Yeah, man, he's straight RoboCop's his way.
He's not even looking, and he's popping people.
Right.
He's a crack shot with that blaster. One of the most classic, weapons of all time.
For
that
sure.
gun. And then of course we have the ending where Kylo inexplicably manages to get out into the forest. Outside the base.
Faster than Finn and
and meet them out there. And I'm gonna say it's because he has the Force.
Oh, of course, you gotta always chalk it up to the Force.
He can sense them.
Yes.
But the confrontation, and hats off or helmet off to Adam Driver. The confrontation is not like facing Vader in the forest. They are facing a guy who is desperate, a guy who is questioning his role in the universe on a daily basis.
An impetulant child.
An impetulant child who's filled with rage that seems to be almost unanswerable where this rage comes from, and he doesn't even know what to do with it.
Yeah.
But he has joined the Knights of Ren, which appears to be, according to Wikipedia, a small order of Dark Force users formed by Snoke sometime after the fall of the Empire. And the Knights of Ren, which is an interesting name, too, because when you use the word knight, you tend to think of someone who's a righteous warrior. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
The Knights of Ren, their role seems to be post-Sith.
Right. Yeah.
They are the new order of Dark Force users.
But they're not, apparently, I think I read somewhere, they're not a part of the New Order. They're like a separate kind of gang.
They're independent operators.
Yes.
But, they're rolling around in the dark side. Is their deal.
If you check that art of Force Awakens out,
there's some Knights of Ren stuff in
all
there?
The Knights of Ren are in there. The whole concept for every single one of them are in there. So you can see what each of them
This book is at Barnes & Noble?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it at like $50 or something?
No. I think it's 25 or 30.
Oh, yeah.
Hardbound, really nice.
I need to pick it up.
Yeah, for sure.
Was there anything in the concept art that like really surprised you?
Yeah, it's kind of gone around now. You can find it on the internet. We can find everything from that book on the internet now, but the whole possibility of the Anakin Force Ghost, that was pretty cool.
Okay.
The Force Ghost that they had proposed for Anakin to have in this film was going to be made up of both sides, light and dark. Oh. So he'll turn and look at you and you'll see Anakin's face, and then he'll turn and look the other way and you'll see Vader's mask, which is kind of interesting. And I know that I read that Anakin Hayden Christensen is doing some sort of training for the second film. I don't know what kind of training, but...
Hopefully acting.
Well...
There's a pilot that dies in the Starkiller base attack that really bums me out. He's the guy who kind of looks a little squiddish or whatever. He's got kind of the long face.
That's your ties to the squids, though.
You
love the squids.
I like that guy a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a shame to,
now I know
see him go.
That the other X-wing, the other white guy that's the X-wing pilot in this film, he's actually one of those books the guy who played Matt Parkman on Heroes. One of the
that's where I recognize him from.
One of the novels is about him. That are made for the young adult novels that they've written. Apparently, those are pretty damn good too, as far as serving the film well and whatever.
I might check them out. You know, one of the things that is going to happen though is because Star Wars is now a Disney product,
right? And
there will never not be a new Star Wars film on the horizon. I'm going to die, hopefully an old man, with Star Wars movies still coming out more than likely. You know, we are on the we are entering an era of Star Wars story product, if you will, that is going to absolutely dwarf everything that's happened prior, extended universe, games, whatever. And we're going to see a whole heck of a lot of stuff. And some people seem to be a little bothered by that. Me personally, I'm excited. However, I think there's going to be more content than I'm going to be able to keep up with.
Oh,
at the end of the day.
Of course. And I feel sort of like, you know, at some point, sort of like the Marvel films now, we're going to get to a point here in about 4 years we're going to feel sort of maybe oversaturated.
We'll say, you know, Star Wars saturated. Yeah.
But anyway,
as long as they have great acting and they tell good, entertaining stories. You know, I'm really excited for Rogue One.
Yeah.
I really want to see how those blueprints get stolen.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be great.
I just saw yesterday they released the, like a few photos leaked of X-Wings on set. They look pretty cool.
So, now, what was the explanation for the sort of disrupted look of the Kylo Ren lightsaber?
You know what? I don't know, but think about this.
It's like a flawed crystal.
It's almost like it's Kylo Ren.
Chaotic. Someone told me that lightsabers are kind of like mood rings. That the color changes based on...
The crystal chooses you.
The crystal chooses you, and that the color of your lightsaber can change based on what your role is in the Force.
Yes.
I want to... So, in Clone Wars, the end of Season 4, when Ventress and Obi-Wan fight against Darth Maul and Savage Opress, Obi-Wan starts the fight without his lightsaber because Savage has tucked it, you know, in his belt, is keeping it from him. So Ventress, who is a dual wielder, hands one of her lightsabers over to Obi-Wan. And, you know...
I'm gonna love this so much.
Eventually, you should almost just... I don't even know. You need to watch it really.
I'm halfway through season 2, and I feel like I'm so close to season 4. If I just go hard,
just jump ahead.
All right.
Just jump ahead. You'll be fine. You know, you can go back to season 3, but you need to get to this scene because I'm telling you, man. I was just watching it last night. It was such a satisfying battle. You know. Watching them fight in tandem. Oh, and they like switch off. Like Obi-Wan's fighting Savage, and then he switches over and all that. So anyway, when Obi gets his lightsaber back, Ventress is suddenly without hers, and he throws it over to her, and he says, "Here you go. Red really isn't my color anyway." And I'm like, oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah, season 4 Clone Wars, incredibly satisfying. So.
Okay, so overall, to close this out, discussion out here.
We got to wrap her up.
So to close it out here, your overall grade on The Force Awakens.
I'm going to give it a flat A.
I'll give it a flat A.
I'm going to give it flat A. We are passing the torch. We've established new characters. We had a thrilling adventure. There was some great little world building in there. There was a nice... solid nostalgic feel throughout the whole thing, which some people have criticized, and I'm sorry, I enjoy nostalgia. I love Star Wars. I've loved it since I was 7 years old. I am not the world's greatest expert on Star Wars. There's lots of Star Wars stuff that I've never read or anything like that. There's a lot of lore that I haven't committed to memory, anything like that. But you know what? When we went in to see the film and it was just the same the second time I saw it, I do want those feels.
Yes.
I do want that nostalgia. Star Wars is something that feels like it, and it pretty much has always been a story that's been in my life. You know, and whenever I see an image, a Star Wars image of any kind, you know what it does? It makes me feel happy.
Yeah.
You know, and so I don't think that, you know, like people compared the plot to A New Hope.
Too bad.
And it showed all the similarities.
Yeah.
And also, as I was mentioning, there are things that came out of the original script and the original concept art of A New Hope that J.J. Abrams mined. Starkiller. Calling it the Starkiller base.
Yep.
You know, wasn't he Luke's Starkiller originally?
Right.
Right. I've never read that script. I guess it's out there though.
Do
you have the comic version?
No, I just acquired the original script yesterday. Actually.
You did?
Yeah, a buddy of mine sent it to me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
You're gonna send it to me tonight, brother.
Yeah.
You're absolutely gonna do that.
Yeah. So all in all,
it did its job.
Yes.
It set us up. It gave us some really great thrills. It gave us a chance to, spend time with the original cast. And I'm so excited to get with Luke again.
I know.
I can't wait till he gets some dialogue.
I know.
And,
God, that part. That was the part that got me when I first saw it. When you finally
That's
see
how
Luke.
you end a film.
I know.
That's how you end a film, man. I haven't had that powerful feeling since I saw The Mist. The Mist with Tom Jane or whatever, the Stephen King horror film, which has a very just gut punch of an ending.
Yeah.
But this film, that look in Luke's face, the look in her face, she's holding out that lightsaber.
Like, I know I'm supposed to be here, but you got to tell me why now.
God, that's how you end a film.
Yep.
You know what? And anyone who thought that this was, a bad movie, and just shut up, man. Just shut up. It was a lot of fun. It was really enjoyable. I'm glad that it's a blockbuster, and I'm glad that there's going to be more Star Wars than I'll be able to handle for as long as I want to handle it,
Absolutely.
And well done.
Yes.
We'll give it an A.
Way
because,
to go, JJ.
Yeah, way to go, JJ. There are some things that, they could have been a little better. But I can only imagine how much oversight was happening in the creation of this film.
Sure, absolutely.
You had
the pressure, man.
Yeah.
Holy, okay, $3 billion put, all of the money that Disney spent, to acquire it, and then the money they spent to make the film, and they were like, God, I really hope, because their figure was, if this movie makes $1.5 billion, it's a success. Okay, now think about that. That's insane, and they've already made it, and it's been out. It hadn't even been out a month yet, and it's already cleared. It's beat.
It's going to double.
In the States, it's beat Avatar, smoked Avatar. It's smoked Avatar globally.
And what's so cool is way back in the day, the original Star Wars film had set all the records.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
So it comes back around.
But it took Star Wars 5 months, 6 months, almost a year to do that, whereas this, not even a month, man.
Yeah. And you know what? Star Wars is a very powerful and important part of our popular culture.
It is.
It speaks to people of all generations. It has something basically for everyone. And this was a really fun, great film. And, I recommend it to anyone. Don't let the people who poop in the punch bowl, let them ruin this for you. Take your kid. The last thing I'm going to leave with is when I went to go see it, when we went to go see it the first time, it was the whole spectacle of the thing. I was overwhelmed. I had honestly completely forgotten about the sequence on Han's new freighter.
Uh-huh.
I totally blanked out on that. And when it came on the screen, oh yeah, that's what happened, right? So I saw 3 pairs of father-sons, young boys, 6, 7, 8 years old with their dads.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved seeing that in the crowd. I knew those kids were in for an incredible treat, and I absolutely loved it. And it's a great way to reinvigorate the Star Wars universe. Final thoughts for you?
I couldn't. You put it really well there. I'm looking forward to seeing where they go forward with this particular story. I'm also looking forward to Rebel One or Rogue One next year. That's going to be awesome. And then, of course, the comic books, folks. If you're not reading the Star Wars comics, I'm telling you right now, they're one of the best series of comic books going today from anybody. And it's Star Wars.
And now the trades are finally coming out.
Yes.
They're collecting those first.
And they're cheap
arcs.
on Amazon too. So definitely pick those up because. It's good stuff. I just recently got caught up with everything with the Vader Down miniseries, or the arc rather, and it was all very gratifying. Everything that they've done Star Wars wise, ever since Disney has acquired Star Wars, has been phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to seeing what goes on with Star Wars moving forward. But as far as our conversation here about The Force Awakens goes, we are at its end. And so ends another episode of Matty Loves Podcast. Join us again next week as we're going to, once again dive into the world of geekdom. So for the Street Shaman, Dr. Tom Lucas, I'm Matt D. Simone.
I don't even know what that was.
Thank you so much for enjoying us once again, and we will see you next time.
Matty Loves Podcast. Matty Loves Podcast.